BELSHE Bits here, bringing you the latest from Wilder World, Zero, and MEOW Chain. Which, now come think about it, after I go over this review of devlog 12, I'm gonna have to start saying Z Chain. I appreciate every single one of you that takes the time to watch these videos, to like, and to comment. It really does help support this channel. If you haven't yet done so, please take the time, hit the subscribe button as I continue to bring you some of my insights on the different developments that is coming from Wilder World. We definitely got a lot of great information with the latest drop of the devlog, devlog 12, and let's jump into that right now. When you first jump into the devlog, they start by highlighting what they're going to focus on, which is Wilder Land, Rebellion, Layer 2 Chain, and the Miami Open World. And they do not disappoint with this devlog. They really do highlight a lot of really interesting points. There's some shifts and some developments, but nothing that I personally think we should be too concerned with. I really do feel like these changes are for the betterment of the project. And so we go in and we have this really awesome graphic of Frank looking over Miami, and they start to talk about a phase shift. And so we were going to get some additional information about version 0.6.0, which I feel like was going to have a lot of updates when it came to Midnight in Miami and the racing game that Wilder World has. But they realized that during the development phase, it would be much better if they condensed a lot of the updates and they release a more impactful version of that update. And so they are going to release version 0.6 and 0.7 in the 0.8 version of Midnight in Miami, and they're going to call that a super early access, and that will get released out on Epic Games. But some of the things that they're going to add into it are open world, combat, racing, octane integration, and the avatar creator. And so you can already see there's these 5 huge updates that will go within the game when they release 0.8.0. And this is really important because they're learning that there's kind of a expectation from the team to just constantly be bringing these out, but they're in the early developments, right? We're still in alpha, we haven't gone to beta, not everything is polished, and they want to make sure that, one, people realize what's going on. It's not just a racing game, it's not just a metaverse, but they're going to have a lot of different game modes and a lot of different products that are enticing to individuals that want a little bit more of a grander experience. GTA is a very well-known project. They've been in development for many of years, and so they already have that backing and that infrastructure. That infrastructure is being built by Wilder World, and so there's these high, unrealistic expectations on the team that they should be releasing something extremely quickly. But what they're doing is really developing that infrastructure behind the scenes, which they've been doing for the last 2 or 3 years. And they're really proud of kind of those developments that they've done that really don't get taken into consideration by the mainstream, consumer or individuals looking into it. They want to make sure that when something's released, that it's polished, it's something engaging and fun, and then from that point they can build and really grow on top of that huge foundation. And so I really do believe that the team is really trying to set realistic expectations of how long this is going to take, as well as to keep the community engaged in the developments that's happening. And so they're kind of changing some things around, and this is one of them. I personally think this is a really smart move. I think they should go dark more often in these development phases while still kind of appeasing the community with some of the updates and what they can look forward to, and then release big updates during this alpha until we reach that beta. And then from beta to full release, you can start updating things I think they want to do it 4 to 6 weeks. I think every 6 weeks is probably really realistic and would be really good for the game. And so I'm really looking forward to that. So this actually is a pretty big deal because a lot of people were expecting some of these smaller updates leading up to something bigger at the end of the year. Moving on in development, they talk about the super early access, which will be basically just token gating an individual's ability to access playing this 0.8.0 that will be released, that will have all of these things. There's a lot of reasons for that. They really want to protect the bots and people coming in to try to, create software and things that will really be a detriment to the game and to what they're trying to accomplish, but also to allow the people that have been around a long time this kind of exclusive experience of going in and testing and learning and doing all the things they need to. And for those that don't have a lot of money, it looks like they're going to release this NFT pass that's going to range anywhere between $10 and $100, which will help them have access, which will essentially be like, right now, Off the Grid was offering something for $10. I think it actually bumped up to like $13.99 or something like that for like a 1 month access to their OTG Pro. This is something similar where you're just going to have access to the game, and they just want to token gate it to just help protect, because it is in those early developments. And they want people to understand that this isn't just early access, this is super early access. And so their wording is being very specific to help people understand that this is not a polished game. There's so much behind it. And so they're trying to test some things out to see what really works. And I think it's a good move. We go on to hear them talk about the Rebellion, that it was a hit. They had kind of this like demonstration of the game that people were able to play in Tokyo, and there was really good feedback. And so that's really exciting. Here you can kind of see a UI hub that looks very similar to the Midnight in Miami hub, where you can kind of see you're going to be able to kind of earn wild as you kind of play, as well as some of the different dynamics, the different quests and different challenges that they may have for players when they jump into Rebellion to start playing for the first time. They kind of go over, a little bit more about the lore. So they're dropping a little bit more about the lore, and that the fate of Miami is in our hands, that we need to go to the Nexus and help protect the Hydra Link. And it's just kind of really helping people start to get immersed into this storyline of what we can expect going forward. And as we go through the devlog, we can see a bunch of different images of the Hydra Link and the Rebellion and what they've been working on inside as well as outside. And so they really just start to talk about the different sections of Hydra Link that they've been improving on. You've got these really awesome videos of an individual running around through the game. And a lot of this is really important because you can kind of see that this isn't just about some cinematic trailer, that these are really things that they're working on. And that should be recognized. And so it's really important to acknowledge the efforts that they've been making in order to show the community and investors the efforts that they've been making behind the scenes, and that they are progressing towards that larger vision. And so I would recommend you taking the time to watch these videos on these updates. They talk about the arena interior and what it kind of looks like, and the different color schemes and renders that they've been doing for the different areas that we're going, and maps that we're going to be able to experience within Rebellion. Then they go over the different weapons that are going to be within the game. Here they talk about the light machine guns and the different designs and what they've been working on. They go over the AR-15, which has been kind of the one that they've been working on the longest from the beginning. This is one of my favorite images. I love this coding, the lighting and everything, the color palette that they've been choosing, and they've been doing a really good job. And so I am impressed by the developments. Obviously, they're going to need a lot more guns and a lot more weapons to be able to utilize, but they're doing a great job with developing it and really being mindful of what they choose, what it looks like, and how it'll handle within the game. And so I'm really excited to see this and all the attachments that will go on it and how it'll affect each weapon. It's really an interesting development as things go on. And then we have this plasma gun called the Gator that it seems like the team's pretty excited about. Apparently, this is a really exciting development. Neo really spoke highly about this gun. He said it was one of his favorite guns within the game. And so I'm excited to kind of see how this feels within a game, what it looks like, And obviously here it's a very unique design, and so I'm excited to see this moving forward. We also have a shotgun, which is usually a pretty high favorite within a game, and here they have a really unique look to the shotgun, and I love it. Here's another one of my favorite images within the devlog. I think this is really cool. Here you can see one of the, I think it's like a smoke bomb or something like that, and some of the ammunition and different stuff. And this really helps you just kind of dive into the lore and the feel and what we can expect from the energy that Rebellion is going to give off once we go in. And so I recommend you going in and taking a look at everything, because this actually is a really cool development that they have with some of the different weapons. They go on to talk about gates and entry updates, the different gate keys. They talk about shield with a video to kind of demonstrate what the shield looks like when your shield is going low. They talk about different consumables like the healing canister consumables and the interaction with picking up equipment and stuff, and the improvements they have, especially when there's a lot of different pieces of equipment in a close proximity, to improve on that so it's easier to pick up and choose what you want as you're going through the game. They talk about the gameplay game loop, which is in the beginning will be, find the elevator access key, eliminate all enemies in the level, and then unlock the elevator door. And so you're kind of going to be going through, I imagine at first it's going to be a little bit easier as you get used to the game, and then each level will become more and more difficult until you kind of get to the end where you're really trying to save this water facility, the Hydrolink. And so here they kind of show that you have to do certain things. You have to find the access key, you have to kill the enemies, and you have to then go through the elevator to the next level, and you'll keep kind of moving up. It's an interesting game loop that people are going to be able to come in. Obviously, a lot of it's going to come down to the actual fighting and the play with weapons and everything. So I'm really excited to kind of see how this is. Neo did speak to one of the parts that he's really excited about is the development of their AI and how interactive that will be in the open world as well as within these games. And so I'm really interested to see how that AI comes into effect as people are playing the game, and how that will feel different when you're playing against NPCs. If you are able to just kind of get in and have some really dynamic gameplay because of the advancement of AI. So I'm excited to kind of see how that all goes. Talk about the breaking the glass. There's new things where you can like shoot barrels and blow them up, and they cause aerial damage. I should say area damage, not aerial damage, but area damage. They talk about weapon animations and the improvements that they've been making there, movement that they have with the weapons, and just really improving the feel of when you're running through the game, how everything feels when you're in action. They released these shooter Trinity suits, which was something that no one was expecting. It was pretty exciting. They have some, different variations, different color schemes and palettes, which is really cool. I really like this like chrome silver look, as well as this like blue. They're building out the female version of characters, which they kind of show a little bit later on, a little bit more. They have kind of a male version of these Trinity suits as well. I really like this black and blue, but I really do think they're doing a great job. Will these go to Trinity holders? It seems like it. I mean, it says exclusive feel for the Trinity keepers. They don't go into big detail, which I'm okay with. I think some unique mystique behind a lot of this is good. But it's really interesting. You get a little bit of information through the name, Shooter Trinity suits. And so that's a really cool shout out for those that have been holding Trinities for a long time. But I think they killed it. I mean, there's definitely a Halo vibe to this with kind of a Wilder World touch and feel. And I really love it. I think it looks great. Then we go on and they start talking about Wilderland and the island. So they start to give a little bit more information. And a lot of it's really just clarity. They go in to talk about the island, that it's going to be part of the open world and playable during the super early access. They also talk about that the Genesis the Genesis land titles will be airdropped, but that the resource profiles will be hidden until that portion of the project is ready, and that those resource profiles are complete. So we're going to be able to see where our buildings will be. We're going to be able to see what kind of buildings they'll be, what zoning there is. We're just not going to be able to see the resource profiles until later on. And so this is just a clarification so we know what to expect, and that we have realistic expectations as we start to get these titles and the development of the economy and mining starts to slowly unravel, and we start to understand better what we're going to be able to experience with land, with mining, and everything else. And so I think that was a really important clarification to make with the island. They go into further clarification with the mainland, where they discussed a few important details in Devlog 11 as far as neighborhoods and zoning and plot distribution and the building customization. But based on feedback from key partners and other individuals, the team has decided that they won't be releasing the mainland until after the super early access. This is also another really good move, in my opinion. I really do think it's important for people to be able to get in and see what they would be investing in, see and start to envision what Wilder World and Miami really is. They'll be able to play a racing game. They'll be able to create a character. They'll be able to go in and play Rebellion and roam around the city and really start to envision and dream and start to decide if they really do want to invest within this project and start to really build what they will call home, or build a business, or whatever they want. Maybe they just want some clout and they want their name up in Miami. Whatever it is, they will have a better vision of that after the super early access, and they are able to get into the world and start roaming around and getting into the vehicles, getting into whatever will be available at that time, and be able to look further down the line and really start to envision what Wilder World will become. Then moving on, they start talking about the drop mechanics, where for 360 days, they're going to be releasing 100 plots of land. And the interesting aspect of this, which is another thing I really do believe was a very smart move, is that you're going to be able to bid on any one of those plots of land within the 44,000, what was it? The 40,000 plots of land, and be able to decide based on what either you want, the location, or your guess of the resource profile. Because you're going to bid blind, and so the first ones may be able to get location and have a better idea of, and be able to grasp their location that they really want. But with that will come a resource profile and additional information that then people can start to speculate on with the surrounding plots. And if one looks like is going to have a high resource profile, then they might start to draw some of the other resource or plots of land with higher resource around that single plot of land. And so as you can see, there's a lot of information that people are going to go in blind, and then later people are going to be able to find some gems because of the adjacent plots around that plot that was already purchased, and more information was revealed after the transfer of ownership from the team to the owner who won the auction. And so I think this is really going to create conversation, strategy, and better viewing and better release of each plot of land every single day, because 100 is actually quite a bit. But if the project is growing, 100 is going to be in high demand. And those that have trinities and that will get land, that's not going to be until mid to late next year based on demand, so that there isn't this huge flood of land without anyone to really pull up that demand in the marketplace. And so they're really trying to be smart. And I believe this is a really smart way to go about it, based on demand from the marketplace, as well as allowing people to have a little bit of risk reward outcome, as well as being able to strategize based on what has already been revealed, based on what people have purchased. And so it's going to be really blind in the beginning, and then as time goes on, there's going to be more information and more strategy that can be made. I think in the beginning, a lot of it will be based on location, and then as time goes on, it may shift to the amount of resources or the resource profile found in the surrounding plots around different plots that have already been revealed. And then you're going to have those that are just going to be a little crazy, and they're going to try to bid on things in weird locations just to kind of find out what's going on. But basically, the 100 highest bids will be approved at a specific time each and every day for 360 days. So this is going to be a really exciting moment, which adds a little bit of something every single day next year. And then they go on to talk about some of the benefits of open bidding. They talk about Trinity Mainland plots and some of the other things that I've already discussed. They also go into the procedural generation of Mainland plots, and they talk about how it was created on a grid system and used for land outside of the rings and based on the layout of Wyoming. And so they kind of show what that means. And so you can kind of see here the grid system and the plots, and there's going to be 40,000 throughout here. And so you can kind of see here is a really great image of a little bit of like what the plots will look like. And then within those plots, you're going to be able to purchase. And they're saying that on the mainland, you're going to be able to combine plots to create bigger plots. And so I'm really interested to see how this develops over the years when different investors, different individuals, different groups and communities end up using this to build something that they have in mind. We can kind of get a glimpse of this based on, I believe, Decentraland and Sandbox, of how you were able to buy multiple plots of land and adjacent land, and people may buy land next to other plots of land that were bought by different groups. And I really hope that they're going to have like an interactive model as people buy. If like a different group will come in and purchase, let's say Huxley comes in and buys a large plots of land within a certain area, and some people may want to build around Huxley, right? And so there may be things like that that will come on down the line that will add just another layer of buying power and intrigue as people purchase for different reasons. And so I'm really excited to kind of see what will develop over the next year based on the system that they've created. So they then talk about the mainland terrain, and they talk about the mountain and the volcano. They talk about the rings. They talk about some of the different dynamics and why they created it in the way they did. And I think you should all take some time to really just dive in to each one of these things, because it's really important to understand what they've been working on behind the scenes to really develop this process, because this is really what they have been accomplishing when other people have just been excited about some of the more flashy things like a game mode coming out, the economy, a marketplace, different things like that, that they feel like is tangible, they can touch on. But in order for those things to happen, these underlying things needed to be accomplished. They then go in and they talk about Wilder World version 0.6.0 that will be released internally. And they talk about there's 3 new vehicles, there's a new map. On this new map, there's actually going to be like racing lines that will help you guide to have the optimal line in order to get the best lap time on these. And I think this is a model behind what they're going to try to release on all the other tracks, but they're going to release it on this singular track in order to get feedback and improve upon it, and just kind of really button down on that system to make sure that it feels right and looks right. They talk about the new ranking systems and medals. It is just another way to help people have clout and really start to level up and do the things that most people really enjoy doing within a game. They talk about that there's going to be a different level of system. So there's going to be bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and wild. So that's really cool to see that they're improving upon the ranking systems. You also have in-game costs like fuel, NOS, repairs, and entry fees, which will be sinks for Wild and help grow that economic value of Wild within the larger community, or I mean the larger economy. And so they also then go and touch on the different customization and tuning that you can do by adding different things that will improve the racing of your vehicle. And here you can kind of see one, you have a spoiler like this on this one, but not a spoiler like that on this one. And they're just kind of showing the different types of customization to each individual car that people are going to be able to play around with. You can see different spoilers here. You can see different fenders, as well as just in different customizations that you're going to be able to have throughout each one of the vehicles. And so they really give a lot of images to kind of show you what they've been working on and what it can look like moving forward. They then go in and they talk about some of the core developments. Here they start off talking about like the easy anti-cheat integration to help prevent people from cheating and how they're going to build on that. They talk about the combat global leaderboards. They talk about the dynamic zone graph integration, the mass traffic simulation, and NPC diversity. You know what? I'm not going to go over there's a lot to go through in the devlog, but you can come in and see some of the improvements that they're making to the game and to the development. A lot of things that don't get a lot of attention, but really do add to the experience of playing each and every game. They talk about the advanced vehicle like damage system, which is actually really important because it's going to affect like how a vehicle drives, as well as you're going to have to make repairs to it. They go in and they talk about the world, right? The world of Wilder World that we're going to be, lost within as we become wilders within this world. They go in to talk about the skyline and the different some of the negative space that they're improving on and using some of the existing assets in order to improve that, kind of giving things a fresh new look and trying to make everything cohesive and looking good between morning, midday, night. And so they go through and they give a lot of images on the efforts that they've been making when it comes to the skyline, because the skyline is really important to keep a solid aesthetic look of what Miami is. And I think that's a really smart move by the team to kind of keep everything on branding from the start. And then the mainland will be kind of that social test of what will happen when a lot of people get their hands on some of the capabilities of building within the world of Wilder World and Miami. So here they're just kind of developing some of the different neighborhoods. This is Nexus and the developments that they have there, the different skyline that they have. You can kind of see the mass change and the expanse of each one of these buildings. A lot of people are looking at some of these smaller buildings, and then you see that smaller building and you feel like that's ginormous and huge, but then when you compare that to some of the other buildings that they're creating, it really is dwarfed. And so I think we will better understand the magnitude of the game once we actually get into these buildings, get around the area, and really get a good feel. Hence the importance of that open world and having a better understanding of like what the team's been working on. They go in and talk about some of the procedural things that they've been working on, like the backed signage and getting a bunch of additional updates on that to keep with aesthetics and feels and really bring to life each and every one of the neighborhoods. And so I think that's really important. They're talking about building shapes to improve on that skyline and how they're managing it and how it changes the look of everything. And so, here you can kind of see how this is, I believe, Little MEOW. And then you have all of this. So the racing game right now, Midnight in Miami, is in this area here. But you have to look in comparison to how big that feels. how ginormous this area feels like over here. And so I really don't think we have a really good understanding of what the team has really been working on and how that will really help us believe in the larger picture of really what's being done in the long term, because it's going to take many of years in order for us to have that fully polished game that we can really enjoy when it comes to questing and really sinking hours and hours and hours into Wilder World and Miami. But I think there's a lot that has been done that we should be really excited about, and giving us that desire to want to hold out for a really, really good product released by the team. And so we're really excited to kind of see these developments to help us kind of keep that desire to see what they're working on. We have cliff meshes here. They talk about the dynamic of what that looks like in between the rings of Miami that we can kind of see earlier on when it comes to that mainland portion, what that will kind of look like, which I think is really cool. I'm interested to see what the capabilities will be within these kind of, cliff meshes and the different things that they'll be working on. What will happen within there? What kind of quest lines will go down in there? What kind of lore will be down there? And so I'm really excited to kind of learn more about that, because this is a very unique feature, or really unique look to a city, to have these like separation of cliffs when it comes to Miami and the world that we'll be running around in. They then go in to talk about the construction of the scaffolding, because as you are building a building, the way you'll know that a building is being built is you will have these scaffoldings. It will be an indicator of something happening here. And it's not going to happen like in SimCity as quickly as it does, but it will be happening over a certain period of time. And then all of a sudden you'll see these slow developments as that building is being built. And then all of a sudden it will be built and will be open to whatever the owner or the creator had in mind for that building. So that's going to be a really interesting aspect of how we know if something's happening, because we'll be seeing these scaffoldings throughout the city. Then you have the cooling distance, and so they're really trying to optimize what is seen at certain times, and just with each one of your camera positions, and helping you keep a deep immersion while still optimizing the load on a computer. We then go down and they talk about graffiti layering and what that looks like, and the dynamic of the graffiti, which I really like. This is one of my favorite images that they had in this devlog. I think the graffiti looks really cool, and I'm kind of excited to see how that works out throughout the city, and if we're going to be able to get our hands on being able to tag certain areas of the plots of lands that we'll be able to be on. So that's really cool. They talk about these road marks, and something they mention is that they look extremely realistic, and each one of these road marks are kind of put in as roads are being developed. And so there's a lot of procedural stuff here that takes a lot of time at the front end that's really going to save a dramatic amount of time on the back end. And so they just kind of go in and they talk about the process of everything and what they have to do. And then you have water splashes, and this kind of just goes over what the splashing of water looks like and how they're improving on that kind of visualization. Then it goes in and it talks about wheels. And so they talk about some of the new wheels that are coming out. You've got the Mercedes 1998, which is looking really cool. Another one of my favorite vehicles they've come out with. There's another one here that we'll get to a little bit later, but it just goes on and it talks about the building of the interior and the seating and the pedals, and it's just a really cool development that the team has been working on when it comes to the interiors of cars. It also goes in and talk about the new wheel designs. The Audi W8 Sport West 2006, which I mean, this one looks sick. I love this one. That one looks really cool. I really love, the back end of these, and they've been really getting some good traction in the community. A lot of people are loving these new designs. You have the Warsha 911 1998 as well, but these look really, really cool. I mean, look at this back end. I mean, these look really, really sick. I love these designs. I love the way that they look. And then you have this design here. This just looks amazing. This is the Mercedes W9 1989. This is actually my favorite image of the whole thing. I just love the colors. I love that you really don't know what you're looking at. This kind of looks like that Back to the Future. What was it called? The fluctuator or whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. You're probably saying it in your mind right now. But that's what this kind of looks like here. But these look really sick. I think they did an incredible job. I know some of the individuals that were holding some of the top line NFTs of these were a little worried about when they talk about it. I don't think they're worrying too much anymore. I really do think they really kept the essence of the vehicle while enhancing it to fit more into the world of Wilder World. They go and talk about how top canopy is going to be interchanged, and there's going to be some additional customization when it comes to some of these vehicles. Then they go in and they talk about avatars, how they've been working on improving on the avatar creator, character creator. It's smoothing out some of the movements. It looks like, I believe, there's a new hero female sculpt that they were talking about here, of improving on those developments. You also have a Neo upgrade. A lot of the different models, I guess, were upgraded before, and Neo needed to get an upgrade, and so they're working on that right now. And there's been some funny humor around this model and how they need to improve some junk in his trunk, a little bit too much of a flat butt, and so they're really saying that they need to get a little bit more of the version of the female character that has a little bit more junk in her trunk. And so I thought that was really funny that they were talking about improving Neo's butt. So that's just, that's a community for you, right? And then we get into an interesting section, which was about MEOW Chain and MEOW and some of the changes that they're making. So there was a little bit of confusion at first, and then they updated it. They realized that their wording was a little off on what they wanted the community to understand, because they thought what was a positive was kind of getting turned into a negative. And a lot of it was to do with some of the wording. And I was kind of pointing that out. I know I've been one to kind of speculate and kind of jump to conclusions. This time around, I wanted to kind of ask questions before I assume things, and I was wrong. What I was assuming was wrong. I was pretty confused with how the wording was, but they changed it. So in essence, what this section is talking about within the devlog is that MEOW is now going to split. MEOW is going to go into a protocol token, which is going to be Z, because the chain is just going to be called Z. It's Z chain. And then you're going to have MEOW, which is going to be a meme coin. And so if you hold a certain amount of MEOW, you're going to now get 2 tokens. You're going to get a 1-to-1 proportional amount of Z token for how much you're holding of MEOW, and you're going to get the same amount. You're going to just hold on to your MEOW and be able to keep that. But what MEOW is going to be, it is going to be a meme coin, and they're going to release the entire supply. How this will go about, I'm not really sure. They don't go into details, but they know that they need to release the entire supply. And then what's going to end up happening is there's going to be some utility to that MEOW. You're going to be able to MEOW, which is basically liking a post on Zero Messenger, and that MEOW will be dynamic. You're going to be able to give whatever quantity of MEOW based on the post, and so you're going to see a lot of people meowing all over the place within the social network, And that is going to be a way that if there is any value to that token, individuals that are working hard and performing on that platform and giving something to a community and adding value to a community, and people are meowing a lot on that post, then people are going to be able to earn a meow, which could have a monetary value. This is all speculative. I don't know, but the hope would be that it would. Otherwise, it might just be a way to like upvote and downvote. I'm not exactly sure what you're going to be able to do, but meowing will be a new type of thing within the Zero Messenger and the social network and the other things that and other protocols that they're working on. And so there is already going to be utility. There could be future utility in different ways. We're not exactly sure, but nothing's changed with MEOW Chain, and we're still going to get the underlying value in a token for those that purchased MEOW for that underlying value of it being a protocol token. And so we are going to get that. It's just going to be the Z token. And so they just go into details about those things so that we better understand each one of those things. And they talk about their excitement with it. There's then they go in and talk about the ODYSSEY and the progress that they made. They know that there were some dissatisfaction about some things. I've expressed my thoughts and my feelings about it within the ODYSSEY channel of the Wilder World Discord. You can go in there and see how different array of individuals feel. There have been a little bit of contention there as people have shared their feelings about it. Overall, people are trying to vent. They're wanting to be heard, and a lot of us are, myself included, just learning to understand where people are coming from, why they believe that way, and maybe not take offense to some of the wording that people are using. They tried to clear up some of those things. They talked about what they have liked and the improvements they've had, and that they've kind of delayed part one, they've extended it. They extended part one of the ODYSSEY. And so I would imagine that's going to go through at least until the end of the year. And we're not going to see part two until probably quarter one or quarter two of the 2025. They go in and they talk about participation and timeline. They talk about the super early access in the marketplace. Again, some of the things that I've just mentioned. Then they talk about being out in the world. So this was the section of the devlog where they went and talked about the experience that they had over at Token 2024 in Singapore. Also, the experience that they had as they went to Tokyo Game Show in Japan. And each one of these, they had a great experience. There are some really great clips of each one of these different events that I would recommend you watch to kind of have a good understanding of where everyone was coming from. We also have, there's also a video, I'm pretty sure they probably put it in here, where it was like 18 minutes long. If not, it's on the Wilder World page. It doesn't look like it. Oh yeah, it's this main big one here that they have in the devlog, which they talked to some of the professionals within the industry, and they had kind of a behind the scenes access to Wilder World, to the open world, to the rebellion and different things to kind of show what they've been working on. A very unpolished version, right? Just a demo. And there was a lot of great feedback, which I think is great. We also go into here some of the burning questions that they can talk about, providing more update on MEOW Chain, about Land Drop 2, and different things. So if you want to look at what some of the questions were within the community, I recommend you go through and read some of these and kind of see what kind of answers the community is getting from the team. But that's really everything that has to do with Devlog 12. They do go in and talk about, I love this VHS kind of style of Wilder World. I think it's them just playing off of the 80s. and I think it's awesome. And they just go in and they talk about the conclusion and that they're really excited about what's coming. I also shared a conversation that was had during a Monday Hangout, which is a community-led event run by Shiny and Wingman and Loteen. And we were blessed by Neo. He came by. He was extremely sick. You could tell in his voice. And he was recovering from that, but he understood that there was some confusion when it came to the devlog, and he wanted to clear that up, and he shared some additional insight. And so if you want some of the details on that insight, I shared that in one of my Twitter or my X posts on my account, which just kind of outlines some of the details there. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video and get caught up on all things Wilder World with devlog 12. I would imagine there's going to be some additional changes as we go on, but we can all be extremely excited for the end of December. One of the things that Neo talked about was a 15 to 30 minute gameplay trailer that will be more than just what you see, but kind of drawing you in with feelings of what the lore and the world of Wilder World really is. So I'm really excited about what they have in store for that. I'm sure there's going to be some cinematic trailers as well, and they don't want to give too much away, but they really do want to draw in the community and really give people an opportunity to really see the open world and what the team has been working on and what they are going to continue to polish. Because remember, we're still in alpha. We're not even in beta. This is going to take a period of time. There's been a lot of excitement about Off the Grid, and they deserve every accolade and every positive remark that has gone their way. And we should be extremely excited for that success, because the team is going to learn from that success. They're going to also learn from those failures, and hopefully they will integrate that into the project and improve the project as they continue to move on and develop it, so that when they drop an extremely polished version of Wilder World, Wyoming, everything that's coming, a part of it like Rebellion and Midnight in Wyoming and mining, we can get right behind the team, be extremely excited, and we can have just as a successful or more successful launch as Off the Grid. And so I'm really excited for that time, and I really hope that the team can celebrate the hard work that they've put into it, and that other people see what they see and what they've been working on. Well, there you have it, Wilders. That is my review of devlog 12. I really enjoyed this devlog. There was a lot of awesome information here. I really do believe the team made some great adjustments based on what they've learned, and I really look forward to being able to access super early access and play Rebellion, get a more polished Midnight in Wyoming game, as well as traverse the world of Wilder World and Wyoming. I'm really excited to build my character. There's just so much to look forward to, and they have been explaining it extremely well. I'm really grateful that they give us access into it, and I can't wait until we start to be able to auction on each one of those plots of land in the mainland. So thank you again for watching this. Please share it with anyone that you feel will get value from learning more about Wilder World and what the teams are doing. And I also hope that you'll take the time to subscribe below and support a fellow believer in the projects that these teams have been working on.